The slide introduces the CVE Half-Day Watcher, a tool designed to highlight risks associated with early exposure to CVEs or common vulnerabilities and exposures. The purpose of this tool is to monitor the National Vulnerability Database, NVD, for new CVEs that are linked to activity on GitHub. It detects what are known as half-day vulnerabilities. These are vulnerabilities exposed before official patches are released. The importance of the CVE Half-Day Watcher comes from its ability to help security teams respond more quickly to vulnerabilities. It mitigates the critical window where attackers can exploit unpatched vulnerabilities. This timely response is essential to protecting systems and data from potential threats. A half-day vulnerability refers to those vulnerabilities that are exposed publicly before an official patch is available. These are typically discovered on public platforms such as GitHub through code commits or pull requests. The risk with half-day vulnerabilities lies in the time window between their exposure and the release of an official patch. During this period, attackers have the opportunity to exploit the vulnerabilities, making it a critical phase for security teams to address swiftly. These vulnerabilities present a unique challenge, requiring prompt detection and action to mitigate potential risks before they can be exploited. Let's go over how the CVE Half-Day Watcher operates. This tool features 3 key modes to help identify and manage vulnerabilities effectively. First, the NVD scan mode combs through the National Vulnerability Database, looking for new CVEs that reference GitHub activities such as commits, pull requests, or issues. It checks to ensure whether these vulnerabilities have been addressed in the latest software releases. Second, the repository scan mode focuses on specific GitHub repositories. It scans for suspicious pull requests and issues, leveraging advanced word matching algorithms and OpenAI for validation, aiding in the early detection of potential vulnerabilities. Lastly, the interactive mode provides a menu-driven interface that allows users to choose different scanning options seamlessly, making the tool user-friendly and adaptable for various needs. These functionalities collectively enhance the monitoring process, aiming to mitigate risks associated with half-day vulnerabilities by ensuring timely identification and action. This slide focuses on the installation and setup process for CVE Half-Day Watcher. Before getting started, ensure you have a Python environment set up and a GitHub API token for authentication. For the installation steps, start by cloning the repository using the command git clone 8kit github.com/aquanautilus cve halfdaywatcher.git. Then navigate into the clone directory with cd cve halfday watcher. After that, install the necessary dependencies using pip install-r requirements.txt. With these steps completed, you'll be ready to proceed to the next phase, where you'll learn how to execute specific commands and configure different scanning modes effectively. Let's discuss an example command for running a scan in NVD mode. On this slide, we're looking at how to run our Python script to perform a National Vulnerability Database, NVD scan. The command looks like this: python scan.py github token your github token dash mode feed days 3 min stars 150. Here are the parameters you need to provide. Dash github token. This is your GitHub token for authentication. Ensure you have generated this token from GitHub. We're setting this to feed to indicate that we want to run an NVD scan. Dash days. This parameter specifies how many days back you want the scan to look. By default, it's set to 3 days. Min stars. This parameter sets the minimum number of stars a repository should have to be included in the scan. In this example, it's set to 150 stars. Using these parameters, you can customize your scan to fit your requirements, focusing on specific timeframes and popularity thresholds. In this slide, we explore the repository scan mode command, which allows us to scan a specific GitHub repository for vulnerabilities. The command format you'll use is shell python scan.py github token your github token dat mode repo repo full name your repo name. Here are the parameters. Repo full name specifies the target repository in the format organization repository, for example, aquanautilus CVE Half-Day Watcher. OpenAI token. This is optional and is used if you have an OpenAI API key for advanced validation. So, with this command, you can pinpoint vulnerabilities in a specific repository by providing your GitHub token and the full name of the repository you want to scan. Optionally, you can include an OpenAI token for enhanced scanning capabilities. This slide presents a real-world application through the Log4Shell case study. Let's break down the timeline of the events. November 24th, 2021. The vulnerability was first reported to Apache. November 30th, 2021. A commit that fixed the issue was publicly exposed. December 6th, 2021. The official patch became available. December 10th, 2021. The CVE was officially released. From this case, several key lessons were learned. Notably, the early exposure on GitHub led to a high-risk window for potential exploitation. Had the CVE Half-Day Watcher been in use, it could have flagged the vulnerability early, allowing for more timely mitigation. Understanding how these events unfolded can help us better prepare and respond to future vulnerabilities. Now that we've explored the Log4Shell case study and its timeline, it's important to understand the best practices and mitigation strategies to avoid similar vulnerabilities in the future. Firstly, before the public disclosure of any security-sensitive issue, it's advisable to use private repositories. This helps control access and limits the exposure of the vulnerability information, reducing the risk of early exploitation. Ensuring that only essential personnel have access to this information until a patch is ready is another critical step. Secondly, the use of tools like CVE Half-Day Watcher can be highly beneficial. By regularly scanning for new CVEs with activity on GitHub, you can identify vulnerabilities early. Integrating these scans into your CI/CD pipeline facilitates proactive vulnerability management, ensuring that potential threats are addressed without delay. These strategies help create a more secure development process, tightly controlling information flow and acting swiftly on emerging threats. Let's summarize what we've covered and outline the next steps. The key takeaways are that the CVE Half-Day Watcher is instrumental in reducing the risk associated with early exploitation of CVEs. This tool is especially important for organizations that depend on open-source projects, helping them to stay ahead of potential security vulnerabilities. Moving forward, you'll want to set up the CVE Half-Day Watcher in your own environment. Ensure that you are actively monitoring critical repositories and applying patches as soon as they're available to maintain a robust security posture. For those looking to explore further, here are some valuable references and reading materials. You can find the CVE Half-Day Watcher GitHub repository at GitHub aquanautilus/CVE Half-Day Watcher, which hosts the source code and detailed documentation. To gain more insights on the impact and advantages of using CVE Half-Day Watcher, refer to the article CVE Half-Day Watcher Closes Vulnerability Disclosure Gap, available on the new Stack. This article offers a detailed exploration of how the tool helps mitigate vulnerability risks. Lastly, for those who need more technical details and API references, check the NVD, National Vulnerability Database, documentation, and API reference. These resources will provide you with the comprehensive technical background necessary to effectively monitor and manage vulnerabilities in your environment.